Max Kellerman under fire. Here's the headline. Boxing star and fans scold Max Kellerman's unacceptable claim about Terence Crawford's recent success. Wow. Max's unacceptable claim. First off, there are two elite voices in boxing. And it goes in this order. Teddy Atlas, Max Kellerman. But if anybody else alive, could you imagine? I mean, Max really has earned the right to an opinion. And his current opinion is that Terence Crawford is the greatest of all time. Now, I will tell you, Max is a fan. I can relate to this. I got in there and I did the sport, and there are times that there is a credibility that will come along with me for having done the sport. But I'm the same as Max. I'm a fan. I stopped off and had a career doing it, but I started as a fan during my time in that career, and now I'm a fan. And Max was a little heavy on Canelo. Now, when I say it was a little heavy, it just surprised me as such an expert, as a guy that knows everything. I mean, Max knows the amateurs. He knows what Usyk did in the Olympic Games and the World Championships and the Golden Gloves before that, and he knows everybody else as well. I was a little surprised, if I'm being fair, at how much he thought Canelo was a great fighter. That part did surprise me. But just because Canelo has been beat doesn't mean he's not. It's interesting. Canelo's had some really hard fights, and by the way, he's had a lot of them. There's not usually a time in boxing where a guy can have anything but a 0 in his loss column, and the guy can still get over. Not only was that not the case, Canelo was valued just dollar and cents at 10 times more valuable than Crawford. Oh, by the way, Crawford is the only one that showed up with an undefeated record. And I must admit, some of those losses that Canelo had seem like the kind of thing that would really slow a guy down. When Canelo at 21 years old got in there with an aging Floyd Mayweather, I believe Floyd was 36 at the time. If I'm wrong, he was 35. I watched it live. It's just been so long ago. Been 12 or 13 years. But he lost 10 rounds. Canelo didn't just lose to Floyd. He lost 10 rounds. Conor McGregor won multiple rounds against Floyd. Logan Paul won lots of rounds against Floyd. Canelo won 2. And I just thought that would like to help put things in perspective. That isn't like anti-Canelo, but in all fairness, Canelo didn't belong in the spot that he was in when he was fighting Floyd at 21 years old. I mean, no boxing guy wanted to turn and go, hey, listen, you weren't even the best amateur. The best amateur represents their country at the Olympic Games. You did not do that. You were not even the best amateur out of a country, but now we're supposed to accept that you're the best professional out of a country. It was a lot to ask, in all fairness. And Floyd went out there and showed us it was a lot to ask. And there's been times where Canelo has gone up in size. And by the way, this isn't a Canelo hate train. I don't know that I could be a bigger fan of Canelo, particularly the way that he handled himself in defeat. Like even just as a human being, I don't know that I could really like Canelo a lot more, but it does make me question, how did we get here? How does beating Canelo make you the GOAT? It didn't make all the other guys that beat Canelo the GOAT. It didn't even make Floyd the GOAT the night that he did it. It made Canelo too young. I mean, they didn't miss a beat in boxing in telling that story. The story going into Canelo versus Floyd is that Floyd is too old. Coming out the back end, they didn't even miss a beat. They knew that the likelihood of cashing in big gates and big pay-per-view prizes with Floyd was getting dimmer and dimmer, and that Canelo was 21. From a business perspective, he was a lot better to go with, even though he just got beat for 10 out of 12 rounds. He's still the guy that you hang your hat on. And the boxing community was happy to carry that water. But then they started talking about Canelo like he was one of the greats to ever do it. Now you have to understand, every era, there will be a Mexican boxer that gets anointed. Not that earns it, not that comes in and wins it. There is a Mexican boxer every era that will be anointed that this is the representative for all of Mexico for boxing. We do that in America with blondes. Every era will pick a blonde. I lived through the Paris Hilton era. I read about the Marilyn Monroe era. My childhood was represented by the Pamela Anderson era. Now, I'm only sharing for you. That didn't mean that they were the best in any single category. America's media has always had a premier blonde. They just do. Mexico will always have an athlete that they put forward to represent boxing. And I don't think for me to question Canelo is rude. There's one thing in boxing that comes with a competitive architecture. So whoever gets anointed doesn't matter. Whoever's the best on a microphone doesn't matter. Whoever gets signed to the best promoter that has the most distribution doesn't matter. There's only one thing. And that is the process leading up and carried through the Olympic Games, which Canelo never did. So we don't actually know how great he ever was. And I don't challenge his greatness, by the way. I realize it sounds like I'm going back and forth. What I'm suggesting, I was also surprised that Max's final deduction was that Crawford was the GOAT. Due to the fact that he beat Canelo, like nothing in Crawford's life really changed. He'd beaten everybody else that stepped in front of him. There wasn't a massive weight discrepancy. I know the story likes to say that there was, but we put them on the scale. Like that story and your weight discrepancy, that's a lot of fun in football because we never actually know. We don't actually ever even get a good look at the athlete. He's all covered in Kevlar when he walks out. We're going to deduce 40 pounds because his shoulders are a little bit hidden, and his thighs and ass look big, but I think he's padded those. They don't even talk about it. If weight and what people weighed is such an interesting storyline, they would do it between the Lakers and the Suns. They would break down overall height and overall weight. They do this in professional wrestling. They don't ever put them on a scale, but they make it part of the story, and they tell you at a combined weight of over 400 pounds. Like it's one of these things. If you find it interesting, why doesn't any other sport do it? And in the one sport where they do actually do it, and we actually put these guys on a scale, they weighed the exact same, but we're supposed to mysteriously believe that they weigh more. The scale says 150, but one guy is bigger. Well, by the time the fight starts, they weigh 150 today, but the fight is not until tomorrow. Okay, but they're both 150, but one guy is a hydrated 150, and the other guy is a dehydrated 150. So the hydrated guy is not going to gain any weight but tomorrow, but the dehydrated guy, do you see where it just gets weird? They weigh the same thing. I don't wonder that. I saw them on the scale. So there's no part about the story or make-believe or this guy took a big risk because he took on somebody that's bigger. They weigh the same thing. And to all of a sudden be the greatest of all time because you beat a guy that 4 other guys also beat, were they the greatest of all time in between? And at what point when this guy that lost and lost and lost and lost again, like at what point did he recapture his crown? At what point did he get it back from the guy that beat him, 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 or the guy that beat him? Like at what point did he reclaim that so that if you beat him, you are then the greatest of all time? I do think that part was a little bit interesting. And the numbers continue to bite these guys in the ass. It doesn't fail. The bigger guy is going to win, except he never does. The guy with the reach advantage, that's who's going to win. Except the length of your arm doesn't matter. The younger fighter. Well, Canelo was the younger fighter. It doesn't seem to matter how many times we prove and or disprove these theories. The most important thing that you can do, if you can find somebody in a leadership position, is get the fight to the ring. Let them figure it out.